Right, there we go.
Well, that was absolutely ridiculous because we've just started the whole thing.
2 minutes of no recording.
2 minutes of no volume. So.
Amazing. Right, okay, let's start again then.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of You Don't Need a Hamster.
You need a therapist.
How the frickin' yeah you do.
Well, you need the mic on. The mic is now on.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just recording with 2 minutes of no mic. It was less than ideal.
Really less than ideal. This morning, we're getting ready whilst we record.
We are, because habit stacking, as Millie said. And kind of it is habit stacking. So habit stacking is when you have a habit that you already do, and then there's a new habit you want to incorporate into your so you add it on top of one you're already doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it kind of is habit stacking. Yeah.
I don't know, I can't do...
So it would be if you, I don't know, you want to take your multivitamin every day, you'd put that next to your toothbrush because you already do your toothbrush every day.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing of something that you already do, to making it easier to incorporate something new in, because it's just adding it to something that's already a habit.
Yeah. Well, I quite like it. I quite like the idea of habit stacking.
Yeah, no, I think it's really good.
I don't think I've actually done it successfully, listening to what it actually is. But I found my own way of doing it, and I think that's, some things don't work for everyone. No. That's okay. And you've got to find, adapt,
and overcome.
And also, there's a lot of useful things that people say that might not actually work for you, but you've got to find your own way of doing it.
That's what I always say.
Right, you see, this is the issue with us getting ready whilst recording, is that Hannah needs to wash her hands between every step of her
thing.
Not because she's a germaphobe, just because she's... Oh, are you a germaphobe? Yeah, she is a germaphobe, but also she doesn't like the texture on her hands,
no.
So...
This is many issues. Many issues. Right, I'm ready now.
Okay. Today we're going to talk about prioritising. Now, I know we've already done an episode on prioritising friendships.
But this is prioritising.
This is a lesson on prioritising.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can teach anyone about prioritising.
No, I don't think we can, Millie, but,
Maybe you can teach me.
But also, I think that sometimes it's not about, we can talk about things that we've not actually achieved, because that can, be just as helpful, because if we haven't done something, we can discover together. You know what I mean?
Together!
Because to be fair, prioritising was something that, until very recently, I was very bad at. Very, very bad at.
Yeah. I think prioritising is actually such a skill, and in life as well as in, I think there's lots of environments where it comes in very handy. Work is a big one of prioritising what do you need to do.
What's a more important / urgent task.
Yeah.
Often a lot of jobs, I've sat on a few interview panels, not recently, but the last few interview panels I've sat on, and one of the tasks for the people who the potential employees has been to prioritise a list of tasks.
Oh, I'd be bad at that in an interview situation though, because I'd be second guessing everything.
Yeah. I mean, you get time to explain why you've said what you've said.
Oh, well, that's good.
But I was really bad at prioritising. Also, kind of had maybe some skewed priorities.
Yeah.
But recently,
for sure,
I think part of mine was always from that thing of the fear of because I missed out on doing so much for so long. I felt I've got to do everything. And I think that because nearly turning 25, because a lot of youth opportunities end at 25, although that's been in some ways as I got closer to it, I've kind of given up on that fear of oh my god, what if I miss out, and just led into the fact that there will be things I won't do.
Yeah.
And that actually made my life less stressful.
I hear you with the prioritising and FOMO. Especially I feel that's a big thing aging.
Yeah.
When you start hitting landmark ages and you're oh, I haven't done this.
Yeah, and just think for me the fear of oh, I want to utilise every opportunity while I have it, because when you before the age of 25, there's a lot of, especially in the kind of career and activism youth voice space that I'm in.
Yeah.
A lot of you get a lot of amazing opportunities before the age of 25, and then they do all stop. But ultimately, there is only so much time.
Yeah. There's only so much time, and also I know that obviously you're very passionate about it, but there is life to live.
Exactly. And like, also not all of the things that just because it's a great opportunity doesn't mean you actually enjoy it. And there's plenty of ones now that I've done that I've gone, actually, that's not really my favourite thing to do. And although it's been good, I think, because if I hadn't done them, I wouldn't have like,
you wouldn't know
that I didn't enjoy them. But there's no point, like, I don't need to do another opportunity in an area that I'm just like, that's not my favourite place to be.
And also, there's so many people looking for opportunities.
Exactly.
That kind of, I think, to be fair though, I'm really bad at balancing that, like, kind of, oh, there's so many people going for this opportunity, so I don't want to take it off of someone else. And also being like, well, I'm entitled to have that opportunity if I want it.
No, 100%.
As well.
And I'm all for, like, apply. If you want something or you're interested, I would always say apply. Yeah. Because I think you've got nothing to do because you can always say no. But like, if you're doing it, depends why you're doing it. Like, if you're doing it just because you're like, oh, this will look good on my CV, then maybe, which it could be a very good and valid reason to do it. But if you're like already feeling overwhelmed, maybe just leave it and try something else, because although it may look really good on your CV, if that's not actually the area that you want to do,
if you're no good at it as well, like if that's not something that you're interested in, and so you're not going to be able to do the job to your full potential, or whatever.
Or even want to, you might be good at it, but you just don't really want to. Like, I think the thing, what I'm learning with prioritization is that, like, you can be really good at something, but if, you know, you've only got a certain amount of time and energy and space, that maybe you don't have to necessarily do it.
Yeah.
And it's like working out where you are in your life and like what your priority is at that moment. And that doesn't mean that those things can't be a priority again later. And I think that that's like, I've kind of finished uni for the year, but not really. Still going. So like, but in this summer period, like, we don't have any more lessons. And so like, I was looking at like basically doing like a summer audit, like, which is kind of what I've been doing my bullet journal of like looking. And like, I've always found it really hard because there's always been like so many things that I want to do. But because there's so many things I want to do, I kind of end up doing none of them because it feels so overwhelming and there's so many things that I end up just like kind of being paralysed by like the overwhelm. And what I've kind of learned, even though people have always told me this, and it's like really annoying because I hate when other people will like tell me something and then it's true. But like, what I've kind of learned is that actually it's better to like do one thing and actually do it rather than like want to do 5 things and not do any of them. Like, it sounds obvious.
Maybe that's like, because that's kind of like, I think for me, devil's advocate with like prioritizing and stuff is that sometimes I get so caught up in like trying to prioritize everything that actually I've spent so much time, and I definitely find this at work. Like, I had this yesterday, in fact, where I had 2 hours to get as much stuff as I could done. And actually I spent so much time thinking like, I don't know what to start with, I don't know what my priority is, that like actually I got nothing done for that hour. And then it's like panic stations because I've not.
Yeah, you could have used that time just to get on with it and do something. No, I definitely think that that's for me, like, there's an ADHD procrastination thing. Big style.
Yeah.
Really big.
Yeah, definitely. I just also, when there's lots of things going on at the same time, it is quite hard to prioritise, like, and from a deadline perspective. So then you kind of have to look at the other.
I also find that when your priorities, if you work for a number of different organisations or you have different fingers in different pies, when sometimes the priorities of a certain organisation and what they want you to do differs from your own priorities of like where you are at. And obviously, when it comes to like paid work, like obviously there's a certain, obviously if you're being paid to do something, you need to do it. But I think, and especially in a lot of the work that we do, there can definitely be a thing of like, actually I am doing what's within my contract. And therefore that's when the lines can blur more. Obviously, like, if you've got to do what's in your contract, I think that's your job. But like, sometimes it maybe isn't in your contract, or like and that's when it's tricky because your priority and their priority can be a little bit skewed. And I think definitely within like some of the voluntary stuff that I do, it can be tricky because they view a priority as a priority, and I think it is, but also I've got X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. Well, it's been very kind of interesting working for like doing this stage managing and working with people who are on a variety of projects, whereas this is like my only project that I need to focus on. So like my 5 days a week, I'm focusing purely on getting this show on its feet and ready to go, but also having to communicate with a team that are working on other projects and therefore their priorities aren't aligning, and kind of having to remind myself that actually, like, when I'm messaging them and I'm not getting a reply,
it's not personal.
It's not personal, but also, like, it can be frustrating because I understand that my priority is this show, but they've got deadlines before this show. And also, they're, like, professionals, and so they know how to prioritise things, and they know, like, it can be frustrating when you're waiting. You can't do something because you're waiting for somebody else to...
I think there's always that fear of, like, because, you know, as all humans, sometimes we do mess up and we do get things in the wrong, and so therefore, like, they might forget or not do it in enough time. And obviously having to rely on other people is really hard.
But you've got to do it, and you've got to let their priorities be their priorities. And
the thing is, I suppose that is that thing of, like, it's annoying, but actually being stressed by it isn't going to change it.
No.
So it's about, like, ways of being able to work around it, is that, so you can still get the things that you need done while waiting for other people. I think it depends what stage of life. Like, everyone's in different stages of life. I thought this is what I was saying to you. Like, we were talking a bit about, like, how at the moment, like, you're kind of, you know, all work kind of vibes, and how, like, obviously maybe some people are saying, like, oh, is that? And although, like, I think if you weren't going to America, I think I would definitely be like, I really do think you maybe need to look at, like, your work-life balance, because, like, you've got no life. However, as long as you're mentally coping in this period of your life, actually, there probably isn't really that much harm in doing, like, it all being kind of work. But
and also coming out of, I mean, we were talking about this morning, like, coming out of drama school, and kind of, it was good to have something to jump straight into,
100%,
and, like, be in a, obviously it's at my theatre school that I went to for 5 years, so it's like, it's a nice familiar environment with familiar people, and, like, it is a challenge. Like, I'm doing a role that I've never done before on a scale that I've never done before.
And it is stressful, like, obviously, because, you know, but ultimately, like, in life, like, you know, it's a good distraction. It's, you know, really good learning opportunity. You're getting paid for it. I mean, there's literally not really very few negatives of the whole thing. However, if you were like, this is it for, like,
my life, and I've said that to the people there, I was like, the person, because also I'm very conscious in setting up for the person who's going to come after me into this role, in terms of, like, they're not going to have the same priorities as me. Like, they're probably not going to be a 21-year-old who left drama school and therefore has very little else going on because all of her friends are at uni.
Exactly.
So she's like, I'm in my hometown with not a lot to entertain me other than going to work and doing this, and I really enjoy it. But it's kind of setting that standard that, like, the level to which I'm working, and it's not like not anything to do with the standard, but, like, the
extra
level
hours.
And the extra hours and the way that I'm prioritising it will probably not be the same in the person that you bring on to do it after me, because this is very unique circumstances.
And, like, obviously, because in the actual, like, real life of the world, you know, when you're, you know, working above what you're paid to do is not something that most people have the luxury to do.
So tell me about your summer life audit.
So my summer life audit. So in my summer life audit, so I've been doing it in my bullet journal, obviously.
Love it. Stunning.
Thank you. So I started off with my calendar, because I basically got 2 months off. So I've got July and August. When I say off, I don't really mean off, but you know what I mean. It's less structured time. I've got July and August. So I started off by writing down all of the things that I, like, already have in my calendar, but also all of the things that I kind of have to do, and then things that I would like to do, and, like, skills to improve on. Then I have started with kind of putting obviously things into the calendar. Then I've made myself a little July bingo to start off with, of, like, things that, like, I want to do. And then I've split it into 5 categories. So we've got creative commitments, admin and adulting, skill building, podcast and presence, and regulation and recovery. And then I've got, like, my urgent tasks that I need to do that have, like, actual outside of me deadlines, kind of ongoing projects, and then kind of split each of the weeks into, like, titles. So the first week of July is set the tone. Week number 2 is systems. Week number 3 is perform, and 4 and 5 is relax and be present.
Oh, look at you.
Based on like what and then I've got like July at a glance, which has got like peak and lower energy levels of like how much energy is going to be required in the weeks, and so I can like look at like pacing myself. And then I've got my tiny goals for July, which I haven't actually written, obviously, and then like kind of the dates that are already happening. And then I'm going to do a little gratitude page. Yeah. And then I'm going to do a little gratitude page so I can like really be holding on to my gratitude. And then I'm going to do some creative practice like logs because I want to like improve my skills, because that's kind of part of like what I want to do over this time, is like, apart from like obviously I've actually got quite a lot like things I need to do, and I realise after I've done it, but also like I want to use this time to kind of set up like some habits and some habits like when things go kind of crazy again. So like I'm looking at like my creative practice of like I want to really focus on my instruments, my like singing, my dance, and my signing. Like there are 3 areas I really want to like when I've got extra time to kind of improve. And then I've like done a brain dump of like my projects, my life admin, my absolutes I've got to do, and then like creative study. And like that's kind of set me up. And then like I just kind of done it in my journal, kind of like looking and putting all those areas into like, okay, what is it? When, because I tend to find that I'm like, all right, I've got all of these things, and like I feel like I need to do them all week one, and then when I don't do them week one, like, and I go to the next week, and I still haven't done them. Whereas I really struggle with the idea of like pacing it, because I think, oh, what if I don't get it done? But actually, if I pace it, I'm going to be more likely to get it done. Rather than at the moment, some of these things have been on my to-do list for probably about 9 months.
What is because, and I've got, not to, as we have discussed now, work is like, I'm very work focused at the moment. But like for my work, obviously getting all of the props and set stuff ready, like it's very overwhelming, I think, when you see a big list of things you need to do. And you might have like a month to do it all in, and that's plenty of time to do it. But actually, if you don't plan that time effectively, then it can become very overwhelming. So I think is quite interesting, but also looking at the different ways that we've done it, because I think this also ties into our prioritization. Like you enjoy putting it all into a like beautiful form. Like if you could see her bullet journal, like it's all like very delicately illustrated and like pretty, whereas mine is literally on a spreadsheet. Capital letters don't exist. And beyond the color coding of like, this is going to be done this week, this is going to be done next week, it's really not. But like that's interesting, because some might say like, well, because that would stress me out doing that, I can't lie. I'd be like, I've spent so long doing that I'd be like, but
and hilariously, this used to take me a lot longer. This actually, I really had to relinquish the whole like, because I've been putting off my bullet journal because like I'm was really worried. Like, so this was I'm showing Millie, you obviously can't see them, but this was my April spread, was like so beautiful. And then I got to May, and like I was like not as happy with how May looked. And then June, I was like, oh my god, it's like gone really ugly. And then I was like, you know what, Hannah? And then so then I wasn't like gonna do July, because I was like, oh my gosh, it doesn't look like really perfect. Like it's a bit like messy. But then I was like, you know what, it doesn't matter. Like, and so this didn't actually take me as long as it like I did all of this in 2 hours.
But that's the thing, like
max, maybe not even 2 hours actually. It's not done, but
like for you enjoy
I really
doing
enjoyed
that.
it, and it was, I needed to do this because I was like, whereas like not everybody enjoys this. Would make some people a lot more stressed.
Whereas I would have been stressed. I would have been like, I would have probably lost my mind. I can't lie. I'm like, the thing is, I love doing creative things, but like I can't creatively put my to-do list into a pretty format, because that for me, I'm like, I'm spending
too long doing this.
I'm not. That doesn't feel like, that's not how I like to prioritize my time. You really enjoy it, so that's a good priority for you, because it's something that you enjoy.
Which is like, so I think that is a thing of like, whereas like, for me, this is my downtime. Whereas, so I really enjoy doing this in my downtime. Whereas if like you don't enjoy doing that, you probably like would rather watch a film. Whereas I actually really hate watching films, so I wouldn't watch a film. So doing this is my downtime. So like I think it is like,
I really hate watching.
I think that like it is just a different way of like producing it.
And that's the thing. Everyone's priorities is different, and you need to
learn what yours are.
What your priorities are, and you can't do that by you can't do that with someone else.
No, you really have got. It's like it is a lonesome job.
It's a lonesome job finding out.
Because ultimately, you will always be influenced by the people around you. And while I am all for I really like hearing what other people are doing because I think that it gives you ideas that you may not have had before. Ultimately, in the end, you do have to then you can't copy anybody else's. You've got to take what you've kind of learned and go, right, okay, so I think I like the way that person's done that, but maybe for me doing it like that won't work, but I could take this other bit that someone else has done and apply it to myself. So that's when you find your ultimate best place.
One thing I'll say that I do that I think's quite potentially a universal one. I've seen other people talk about this, but in an evening when it gets to the end of your day, and I work very odd hours, but prioritizing downtime and having the time that you do just I love to get into bed and watch a series and have a snack kind of thing. But obviously, on a Thursday, I finish at 9 p.m. working. So then I get home, which is feral, but because
people do night shifts, don't they?
Exactly. But I get home, and actually some nights I'm no, I need to prioritize sleeping and having a good
rest,
a good night's sleep. And some nights I just think, actually no, for me, I need to prioritize
me time.
I'll have a later night, and
you want some me time,
because otherwise I will just go to sleep, and then I will get up and go to work, and then I will have done nothing for me in a 48-hour period. But I think that's always one I struggle with, I guess, is the evening kind of.
There's so much pressure. I think there is so much pressure that there is a right way, and ultimately we're all so individual that there is no right way to live your life, because you're the only person who's living your life. And obviously, absolutely no. If is going to bed, at 3 a.m. every day a good choice? Well, probably not. We all.
I did do that the other day, though.
Did you? Well, that's okay.
I was watching We Were Liars. I think you'd oh my god, it just made me cry. I've not had a series make me cry like that.
Yeah.
In so long. Wow. Sorry, continue what you're saying.
No, that's okay. But I think that ultimately, yes, there's all of these guidelines and all of this whatever, but ultimately, if you're able to be honest with yourself, you know yourself best.
Yeah.
And if you're honestly going, actually this is what's best for me, or if you're no, really that it's not, but you want to do it anyway, and that's fine. You can still do it. But being able to be honest with yourself, rather than, because nobody else can tell you.
Nobody else can actually force you to do anything.
No. And that's what you learn as an adult, which is, freeing and also slightly disturbing.
It's giving, the song When I Grow Up from Matilda.
When I grow up.
And they're all
I
eat sweets every day.
And you're
watch TV until my eyes go square.
I know, and then you actually when you become an adult, you're get me in bed at 6 p.m. Yeah, exactly that. But that's okay, because you always want what we can't have.
Well, so yeah,
I think prioritizing is it. Basically, the key takeaways from this are prioritizing changes depending on what stage of life you are currently in your own path.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you have to be able to sit and be honest with yourself, and sometimes you may not be prioritizing sometimes it might be work that you prioritize, and that's okay. No.
Yeah.
And then but as long as there's peaks and troughs of everything.
Peaks and troughs. Well, I think it's been a good episode, Hannah.
I think you've done great work, everyone.
Well done.
Keep prioritizing yourself and your needs.
I think that's your biggest priority, is doing what's right for you.
Yeah.
You are always.
And that might be work. That might not be work. That might be friends. That might not be friends. And it'll change.
And it fluctuates. Actually, one thing I will say before we end it is Emma Chamberlain did a good podcast on prioritizing, and it's the triangle of social life, work life, and rest and sleep. Mm-hmm. And actually, you can only balance two at a time. One will always
be less. Yeah.
Have to suffer for the other two to be if you're going to prioritize your work and your social life in order to
have physically enough hours in the day.
then sleep and rest is going to suffer. But like you go through different periods of your life where you focus on different elements, and it might be that like actually there's a point. Like I know show week for me, that is going to be a full work and probably
not much sleep or much social.
Sleep or much social. But that's like
you're ready for that.
But that's like a week. And that's the thing, it can change week to week what your priority is.
Well, like you were saying, and you were actually saying last night too, like the week after, you're prioritising like family and sleep.
Indeed, I am, yeah.
So, you know, that's, you can't have the perfect balance, not that, first of all, there's no such thing as perfection, but secondly, the perfect balance isn't going to look like a balance all of the time.
Yeah.
I think we do get a bit stuck on the fact that like it's got like a balance is constant. And for some people it might be, and that's what works for them. But for I think a lot of people in life, like that is just not how it works. You can't. No. But it's about ultimately in the, you know, with the pendulum of life, does it swing back to both sides eventually? Because otherwise then you do burn out, or you have no friends, or like, you know,
and there's an element of prioritization that like discipline is very important. Like you need to be disciplined with yourself, like this is my priority, this is what I need to focus on.
That ability to be able to say, you know what, actually, with huge respect, my friend, but no.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's either to yourself or to other people, because people, you know, they don't always know that they're overstepping a boundary. Exactly. And that's where the boundaries come in. Did we do an episode on boundaries? I feel like we did.
I don't know that we did, actually.
Well, if we did, we'll link it in the footnote of this.
If we didn't, we'll record one now.
We're recording that next.
But
have a great week.
Have a great week, and we'll see you next week for another episode of You Don't Need a Hamster.
You Need a Therapist. Bye. Bye.